I'm Mark Spencer. This is my wife Meredith, and we've been attending First Family Church Bondurant since 2015.
And this is a portrait of God's providence in our lives. Growing up, I attended a Lutheran church with my parents, and the church we were going to was just not biblically grounded. And at 9 years old, my sister passed away, and that really brought our family to understand how important faith is, and it really brought us closer to the Lord. In middle school, I attended church camp. That's when they, explained to me that I needed a Savior, that I was a sinner and I couldn't do it on my own. And I put my trust and my faith in Him. And then in high school, I started drifting away and started getting into things I shouldn't be getting into, and hanging around the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things. And my parents saw this, and my mom, who worked in Des Moines at the time, she was trying to help me out, and so she's trying to get me on the right track. And she told me, she said that there was a guy at work that seemed to be just a real nice guy, and she thought I should meet him sometime.
For me, I grew up in a loving family. We regularly attended church growing up, but while I was attending church, there really wasn't, I was keeping God out from really entering into my heart. So my, what I would consider to be my heart of stone was still there. When I went off to college and I had the chance to, have more control over my own schedule and make my own decisions, I never attended church, and I really fell even further away. In fact, I would even say that when I graduated college, I would have even considered myself to have been an atheist. After I graduated college, I went to work downtown at Principal, and one day I'm working and kind of minding my own business, and this lady that worked in my department plopped down beside me and said, "Mark, I have a daughter." And I thought, oh boy, how pathetic am I? But she said that she had a daughter, and so I said, well, sure, I'll go on a date with your daughter, and we started dating. During this process, Meredith and her family would regularly be attending church, and so as we were dating, I wanted to join her for that. And so as I was sitting in church, all of a sudden, I started hearing and started internalizing a lot of the preaching. And so God was really working through all of that process to get to my heart of stone and turn it into a heart of flesh. And so through that process, I was really starting to come closer to Christ. So shortly after that, on a trip, I proposed to Meredith, and she said yes. The actual wedding day came. After all the pictures, and then just a little bit before the actual wedding was going to start, there's kind of a little lull. And so it was about that time that Meredith's dad grabbed me and asked if I'd step over into a small room and just pray. And so of course I did, and as her dad was praying for the two of us and our marriage, all of a sudden the light bulbs really started coming on for me that I'd been hearing about Jesus Christ and Him dying on the cross. I started really connecting the dots between that, my sins, and that I could have a Savior, that my Savior would forgive me for my sins, that when He died on the cross, that was for all of us. And so instantly I had I went from fear to confidence that not knowing how I would be able to go through life on my own and handle and being a husband and doing that all by myself, and I didn't have to. I could do that with Jesus Christ as my Savior. And that was such an important way that we started off our marriage, and that was a turning point right there. And so that happened just a half hour before we walked down the aisle, and that we got married.
So after we were married and we were trying to find a church, I was going to Iowa State, and I bumped into my youth leader that led me to Christ at church camp. And she asked me, "Hey, are you going to church?" And I let her know I hadn't found a church, and she was able to connect us with our first church. We've lived in Bondurant for over 10 years, and I always felt it was our calling to be at a church in Bondurant, but at the time we just couldn't find a good fit that was a Bible preaching church. So we attended a church that we loved in Ankeny, and we thought, well, maybe we should check out the churches in Bondurant again. And so we went to First Family Bondurant, and we just knew right away that this is the right fit. And we love Bondurant First Family. Mm-hmm. I just think it's amazing, when I look back and see all that God has done for us, and everything that we've gone through. His hand was in it all.
Yeah, I think it's amazing as we sit here now, married with kids, connected into this great church. It's just amazing to look back and see God's providence working. And in some ways it all started with a coworker of mine sitting down and introducing me to her daughter.